This is New York's #1 news. Channel 7 Eyewitness News. With Liz Cho and David Navarro. And Lee Goldberg with the exclusive AccuWeather forecast. Now, Eyewitness News, first at 4.
Breaking news in Paterson, New Jersey. A deadly police-involved shooting on Mill Street. Newscopter 7 over the scene this afternoon. We have the very latest. Plus, a search for the suspect wanted for shooting a man in the face as he pumped gas in the Bronx. We'll tell you what we've learned about the moments that led up to the gunfire. And more changes to the Long Island Railroad schedule after a very chaotic week for hundreds of commuters. And good afternoon to you. I'm Liz Chow.
And I'm Mike Marza. David is off this Friday. We'll have those stories in more in just a moment. But we do begin this afternoon with that AccuWeather alert. A wintry mix moving into the area tonight, so get ready for a mess of heavy rain and strong winds.
Yeah, and some areas north and west of New York City will see snow and sleet. Meteorologist Danny Beckstrom is in for Lee this afternoon. She's over at the wall and tracking everything. Danny.
Yeah, Liz and Mike, it's going to be a busy night. Right now in the city, things look quiet, just cloudy with seasonable temperatures in the mid-40s, but the radar already looking busy. Zooming in, it looks like just a light rain in the city, and that's all we really expect, rain. But the light rain turns to heavy rain late tonight. Now, north and west of the city, as expected, we're starting to see that snow fall. Right now, Pike County, Sullivan County seeing fairly steady snow, mainly for the higher elevations. And these areas are the best bet of really accumulating snowfall tonight. But as we zoom out, you can see we are just getting started. This is a strong storm system bringing the threat for severe weather to Kentucky, Tennessee, bringing a lot of heavy snow to Michigan tonight. And it's pushing all that moisture and strong wind our way as we move into the next 12 to 15 hours. So a wintry mix is what we're watching. Snow and sleet continue north and west of the city. The city could start with a wintry mix, maybe a few snowflakes in the mix, but that changes to heavy rain after sunset tonight. And we are looking at 1.5+ inches of rain falling between tonight and tomorrow morning. It's a lot of rain on the way. On top of that, really gusty wind. Areas close to the coast could exceed 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts tonight. And we're also looking at the potential for some coastal flooding due to high tide times, onshore wind, really heavy rain. So coastal flooding, definitely something that we're watching. It's going to be really messy, taking us into Saturday morning, and then the storm system exits and will taper off tomorrow afternoon. This is an updated look at the snowfall forecast. So again, our northernmost areas, yeah, accumulating 3 to 6 inches of snow, but it tapers off pretty quickly after that. And we've changed the city now to mainly rain. Yes, we still could see a few snowflakes in the mix at the onset, but we expect it to change to rain shortly. So anything that does maybe accumulate in slush will melt. It is going to be wet though, and it is going to be windy for tonight. Again, can't stress the gust speeds, especially close to the coastline as we move into the next 12 or so hours. I'll show you Futurecast, time it out for you coming up in the full AccuWeather forecast in just a bit. Liz and Mike.
All right, Danny, thank you. We're going to head back to that breaking news in Paterson, New Jersey now, and a deadly police-involved shooting on Mill Street.
Details still coming in at this hour, but Eyewitness News reporter Tony Yates is live in Paterson. What we know right now. Tony.
Yeah, Mike and Liz, I can say not much right now. We're at Mill Street and McBride Avenue, where earlier today there was a huge police presence. In fact, the new police chief who was sworn in just moments before this, and the mayor, they were out here too. I want to show you some of the video that we shot earlier. For now, we're live here in Paterson, New Jersey. Tony Yates, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Tony, thank you. Of course, yet let us know also, as Tony just mentioned, that police-involved officer shooting in Paterson comes just one day after a state trooper was shot in the leg in a neighborhood in Paterson. Police say, again, the two shootings are not connected, as Tony alluded to. One suspect in custody for the trooper shooting, and police are still searching for 3 other people who were spotted running away. A press conference updating this shooting just started. We're listening in. We'll bring you updates and what we learned from these comments as soon as we get them.
Well, the NYPD is searching for the gunman who shot a man in the face at a gas station in the Bronx. Surveillance video captures the chilling moments when the gunman opened fire as the victim pumped gas early this morning in Mount Hope. The victim is now in critical condition. Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Carlo is live in the Bronx with the very latest. Anthony.
Well, that's right, Liz, and police releasing new video of that gunman wanted for shooting a man in the face while he was just pumping gas. That victim was taken here to St. Barnabas Hospital in critical but now stable condition. Meanwhile, new at this hour, we're learning that all of this happened over a piece of jewelry. A video just unbelievable to watch. Again, that gunman is on the loose at this hour. Police are looking for a white Mercedes-Benz that he was seen fleeing the scene in. As for that victim, again, recovering here at St. Barnabas Hospital as this investigation continues. A terrible story that really could have turned out even worse. We're live in the Bronx. Anthony Carlo, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Certainly so, Anthony. Thank you. And despite that shooting, overall crime in New York City actually dropped nearly 6% in February. Commissioner Keechant Sewell also announced shootings were down by 15% and murders were down nearly 28%.
Disgraced former South Carolina attorney Alec Murdaugh was sentenced today to life in prison. A jury finding him guilty of murdering his wife and younger son. The jurors reaching that verdict in less than 3 hours last night. But Murdaugh still insists he is innocent. Here's Eyewitness News reporter Lauren Glassberg.
Well, the MTA is scrambling to adjust the Long Island Railroad schedule days after the first major overhaul in decades. Starting Monday, the MTA is adding 3 more shuttle trains to Brooklyn during the morning rush hours. They're scheduled to depart Jamaica at the times on your screen right there. There will also be cars added to some rush hour trains on the Babylon, Long Beach, Port Washington, and Ronkonkoma branches. Riders are urged to check the Train Time app for more information. The LIRR changes were meant to accommodate service to the new Grand Central Madison, but it has led to chaotic scenes like these of overcrowded trains and platforms.
Opponents of the current plan to redevelop Penn Station rallied in Midtown this morning. The rally comes after the primary developers cited viability concerns in completing the project. Current renovation plans to improve Penn Station include 8 new high-rise towers. Opponents of the plan say New York should consider using multiple developers and utilize federal funding from President Biden's infrastructure bill.
The plan should not be dependent on one developer. It should not be a scheme where we don't know where the funding will come at the cost of taxpayer money. We need a brand new plan. With the Biden infrastructure bill, there is an opportunity to get 80% or more funding for this plan.
The rally came just ahead of a state Senate hearing on the status of the plan to redevelop the area.
Well, still ahead on Eyewitness News First at 4, the widow of an NYPD officer asks the parole board to keep her husband's killer behind bars. We have her impassioned plea coming up.
Also ahead, the financial impact of the asylum seeker crisis and what it is doing to the city and the budget in New York. What is going on and how can Washington step in to help?
And community members rally against potential plans to build a casino near Citi Field. We've got their concerns coming up.
I love reading books with my kids. It's magical. It opens up a world of imagination, new people, and cultures. For more than 20 years, Disney and First Book have donated millions of books to children who need them, and you can help too. Go to magicofstorytelling.com to learn how.
Time now for a check of the Friday afternoon commute. Here's a live look at the Long Island Expressway at Casino Boulevard. You can see traffic moving one direction there. Over at the Hudson River right now, there are 30-minute outbound delays at all 3 crossings.
We're finding some breaking news right now, and the chief medical examiner's office has just confirmed the deaths of 2 men as homicides after they were drugged and beaten after a night out at a gay bar in Hell's Kitchen. John Umberger and Julio Ramirez were both given drugs tainted with fentanyl. Ramirez was found dead in the back of a taxi last year with his bank accounts drained. Umberger was found inside an Upper East Side apartment. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office is still investigating. Well, meanwhile, new numbers are painting a stark picture of the impact of all the migrants seeking shelter in New York City. Today, the City Council held a hearing on the surge of migrants. Well, residents rallied against a proposed casino next to Citi Field. They say the casino would devastate the Flushing community. Their protest comes on the heels of several so-called vision sessions that were hosted by the New York Mets owner Steve Cohen. Cohen says his research shows the community wants something to be built in the area. Opponents of the plan say they feel that their community is the target of a racist stereotype.
You know, our community already is often targeted, you know, with advertisements, with buses, etc. It's not, you know, to me, it's not about whether or not a person enjoys gambling, right? But it's about targeting our community, telling the whole world that, you know, because we love gambling so much that, you know, he's going to be building us a casino.
Well, the group behind today's protest adds the property at the center of Cohen's vision sessions is public parkland that should be preserved and not developed.
The storm system that brought those tornadoes, the flooding, the high winds to Texas yesterday just arriving to our area. But this is one of the twisters caught on camera in North Texas. Yeah, nearly a dozen tornadoes were reported across the state, in Louisiana and Kentucky as well, in just the last 24 hours. This same storm system now bringing heavy rain and even some snow to our area tonight, which brings in the expert right now to talk about what it's going to do for us.
Exactly.
It's all related. It is the same storm system, but happy to report we can take out that severe weather threat. That being said, it doesn't mean that it's inconsequential. We're still looking at really messy conditions tonight for the city, rain and wind, but north and west, yes, a few inches of snow on the way. Want to get you out to the satellite and radar. Here's a look at that storm system now, large, bringing a lot of snow to the Great Lakes states, still bringing a severe weather threat just south of that. We're starting to see that severe weather threat now shift a touch further east out of Tennessee into looks like the Carolinas. For us, it's just maybe the chance for a thunderstorm or two south of our area as we head into tonight. So we're not looking at severe weather, but we are looking at wet weather, slick weather in spots, and very windy weather as we move into the overnight hours. So here's what we're seeing right now. Light rain, it looks like, arriving to the city. Most of even our northern suburbs seeing rain. It's Sullivan, Ulster, and portions of Pike County picking up the snow. This is exactly as we expected. The accumulating snow, 3 to 6 inches plus, you have to head pretty far north for. The majority of the area, maybe a messy mix to start before eventually turning to rain. In addition to the coastal flooding, which has to do with the high tide times and the onshore wind, we're looking at 1 inch to 1.5 inches plus of rain, which can lead to localized flooding and ponding on roadways, even areas that aren't near the coast. Then gusty wind on top of that saturated ground. It can topple trees, and the slick conditions will continue north and west of the city with that snow turning to more sleet. So hour by hour, it is a long haul tonight. Once that arrives, we settle in overnight into tomorrow morning. It looks like the AccuWeather alert takes us into the first thing tomorrow morning, and then that rain does wrap up as we move into sunrise tomorrow. Isolated, maybe a couple showers, maybe a few flurries tomorrow afternoon, but precip won't be a big deal. The wind weakens by Sunday. Temperatures look much better by the start of next week. In fact, Monday, 52 under a mix of sun and clouds, and the 7-day doesn't have another AccuWeather alert. So get through tonight and things look a little better.
Yeah, you just kind of want to like push that like red sliver off the page there. But yeah,
I'll stand in front of it next time so you can't tell.
We just need to get through tonight and part of tomorrow.
Yep.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Danny. Still to come here first at 4, a concerning shortage of a popular drug to treat asthma. Why this shortage is about to get even worse.
And a Black Army officer finally receives the Medal of Honor 60 years after his heroism on the battlefield. So what took so long?
Hiking for a cause, a 9/11 survivor and a volunteer firefighter taking on a massive endeavor to raise money for the September 11th first responders who are still suffering mental health illness.
Eyewitness News needs your help to protect our children. Have you seen Damien? ABC-7 thanks you for helping to protect our children.
We have some breaking news on that water main break that led to days of trouble in Hoboken, New Jersey. Mayor Ravi Bala now says that the city plans to sue PSE&G over the disaster. The lawsuit claims construction crews were negligent when they did underground work on Monday that led up to the rupture of the main. Mayor Bala says that his hope is to recover money from the many costs that incurred. Well, coming up on Eyewitness News First and 4, it has been nearly 25 years since her husband was murdered, and now the widow of NYPD officer Gerard Carter is asking a parole board to keep her husband's killer behind bars. Her powerful plea is coming up.
Also, a new proposal in Connecticut to crack down on thieves targeting catalytic converters.
And we'll tell you why you might have to wait a bit longer if you're for your passport, even if you pay extra to get it more quickly.
ABC-7 celebrates Women's History Month by honoring trailblazing women in our area.
Inspiring stories about heroes.
Inspiring stories about role models.
Celebrate equality.
Celebrate Women's History Month.
Go to abc7ny.com for more.
Closed captioning is sponsored by Raymore & Flanagan. In stock and delivered in 3 days or less.
Well, Welcome back to First at 4. The radar starting to come to life as this next storm system moves on in. Just light rain over the city right now, but north and west, as expected, starting as snow. In general, a messy mix moving in, and this settles in for the next 12 or so hours. Even if we get a few snowflakes in the mix at the onset in the city, it turns to rain overnight into tomorrow morning, but heavy rain. Wet, windy conditions are the main concerns in the city as the slick, snowy conditions continue north and west. Looking at Futurecast, it looks like by dinner time tonight, those rain and snow chances are fairly widespread. Snow continues for our northern suburbs, a bit of sleet and a wintry mix for northwest New Jersey, and then rain. But not just any rain, heavy rain, settling in for hours overnight into tomorrow morning with really gusty wind picking up. This moves on a few hours after sunrise tomorrow, but for tonight, things are going to be on the messy side. So looking at the weather headlines, wintry mix to heavy rain in the city with snow and sleet continuing north and west overnight into tomorrow morning. Gusts exceeding 40 miles per hour, especially near the coast. It could lead to some coastal flooding issues, and even areas not near the coast could see ponding on the roadways tonight with the heavy rain on the way. I'll have the details, show you the updated snowfall expectations for tonight coming up in the full AccuWeather forecast in just a bit. Mike and Liz?
All right, Danny, we'll see you in a bit. Thank you. The widow of a New York City police officer murdered in the line of duty, now pleading with the New York State Parole Board to keep her husband's killer behind bars. Yeah, in July of 1998, Officer Gerard Carter was in a marked police van on Staten Island when a parolee opened fire without warning, killing him. Eyewitness News reporter Crystal Cranmore has the story. Well, if you've ever been running, walking, or biking at Central Park, of course you're familiar with just how chaotic its 6 miles of roadway can be on a crowded day. So now the Central Park Conservancy is teaming up with the city's Parks and Transportation departments to conduct a safety study on the roads, known as the Central Park Drives. They're also gathering feedback through an online survey. Eventually, there will be some community meetings before they come up with a final plan to make those drives more peaceful. Well, a historic day in the city of Paterson with the naming of its new police chief. Engelbert Ribeiro was sworn in this morning, making him the city's first Latino police chief. Chief Ribeiro has already been in the role as acting chief for several months now. He's a native of Paterson and has served for the department for 27 years. The chief thanked his colleagues in the police department for their support throughout his career and promised to earn the trust of the citizens of Paterson.
I want to repay this great city for everything it has given me. I want to start by working to build trust between the community and the police department. We as the police department cannot make this city safer on our own. We need to work together with the community for that common goal.
Well, the chief went on to say that he plans to lead the department's growth in size and in its humanity. Today's ceremony was held at the International High School in Paterson.
The coronation of King Charles III just 2 months away now, but so far there is no big lineup of celebrities set to perform. A look at who has already declined the invite.
And later, as more Americans are falling victim to scams and financial fraud, some advice on how to protect your money and peace of mind. A new crew of astronauts setting up shop at the International Space Station. 2 Americans, 1 Russian, and 1 astronaut from the United Arab Emirates lifted off from the Kennedy Space Center yesterday. Their SpaceX Dragon capsule docked today, early this morning, after spending a little more than 24 hours orbiting the laboratory. The crew will live on the space station for about 6 months. During that time, they will conduct experiments and perform a little maintenance on the 2-decade-old station.
Now to the countdown to the coronation of King Charles. With just over 2 months until the ceremony, there are now reports that multiple musical acts have declined to perform. According to Rolling Stone, stars like Adele and the Spice Girls, who famously flirted with the monarch back in 1997, have all turned down the opportunity. Elton John, who regularly performed at concerts for the Queen and even sang at Diana's funeral, told Rolling Stone that he has scheduling issues. The other big question overshadowing all of it is, will Harry and Meghan attend the event? For now, the palace is staying mum on who is on the guest list.
Well, if you are planning to go abroad this year, consider this your warning. Passport wait times are way up. The State Department says it is seeing unprecedented demand for passports, and it's causing some massive delays. It usually takes like 6 to 9 weeks to get a new passport, but now officials estimate it will take up to 11 weeks. If you pay $60, you can expedite the process, but that will only save you a few weeks. It's also important to remember those processing times don't start until the State Department actually receives receives your application, not when you send it. The State Department says it has increased staffing and working to hire more employees to keep up with all the demand.
Not a situation you want to be in.
No.
Frantically trying to get the passport.
Exactly.
As we continue here, first and foremost, she was that Washington power broker we all fell in love with on the hit ABC show Scandal. And now Kerry Washington is coming back to TV with a new series. Sandy Kenyon talking with the star of Unprisoned.
And it was mainly quiet for the first half of our Friday, but the radar is starting to wake up, and it is a soggy stretch ahead of us in the city with a slushy mix north and west. We expect by dinner time tonight widespread rain, and even if it's a rain-snow mix at the onset, heavy rain in the city takes us overnight into tomorrow morning with really gusty wind increasing. It's an AccuWeather alert night. I'll have Futurecast for you coming up in the full AccuWeather forecast after the break.
7 on your side fights for you.
Where are you stealing this money?
So when you need help, call, email, or reach out on social media, because Channel 7 is always on your side.
So, you know, we always say it's like the calm before the storm.
Yes.
And I feel like people kind of walking around today thinking, I know something's coming. We got this AccuWeather alert, but, you know, when is it going to come and what form? That's a question you're getting a lot, Danny, right?
Yeah, and hopefully I have the answers here. I'm still seeing people feel a little cautious outside, and it's for good reason. Cloudy for now, and the first half of our Friday has been quiet, but looking at the radar, looks less quiet, right? We're starting to see the light rain push in as we speak, starting as rain in the city, and it's very, very light, but you don't have to look far to find the snow. This is exactly what we expected. It's far northern suburbs that are starting with snow right from the get-go, and we could accumulate 3 to 6 inches in these areas as we move into tonight. Zooming out far on the satellite and radar, you can see the rest of what's coming. So this is really just the appetizer. It is going to be a soggy stretch, 12 or so hours starting now through tomorrow morning with consistent wintry mix turning to heavy rain in the city before this all moves out. This did bring that severe weather threat south of us. For us, maybe a thunderstorm, maybe a rumble of thunder, but the chance for that is not all that likely with temperatures that aren't really supporting a lot of that instability. And then looking much better moving into Sunday and Monday. By Monday, we're up to the low 50s, milder mix. And the rest of the 7-day, not looking so bad. Seasonably cold, but quiet, which is how we like it.
Well, hopefully folks are hunkering down tonight and just chilling.
A movie night.
A movie night.
Don't need to be out and about.
Exactly.
There you go. After Eyewitness News.
Right. Exactly. You get it.
Thanks, Danny. Well, speaking of hunkering down, a new series on Hulu called Unprisoned looks at the challenges of a therapist played by Kerry Washington who must reestablish a bond with her father after he has spent almost 2 decades behind bars. You may be surprised to learn that this new show is actually a sitcom. So how do Kerry and her co-star Delroy Lindo find the funny? Entertainment reporter Sandy Kenyon is here to show us how. Sandy.
Liz, there are few performers I respect more than Kerry Washington, and I'd rather watch her than just about anybody else. So, knowing she is also one of the producers of Unprisoned, well, I put my faith in her judgment, and you should too. They did nail it, and that's tricky given what is essentially a very serious premise. The key here was hiring top talent to perform honest scripts rooted deeply in real life. Unprisoned debuts next Friday, a week from today on Hulu, owned by the same parent company as ABC-7. Next, one of the contestants on American Idol Sunday evening is from Harlem, where she performed at the famed Apollo Theater as a 16-year-old. To find out if Wei Ane moves on in the American Idol competition, tune in Sunday night starting at 8 p.m. right here on ABC-7, Mike Liz.
Oh, I hope she moves on.
Yeah.
I love the fact that she had the guts to get on that stage.
And her singing voice completely different than the voice you just heard.
You could kind of almost hear a little bit under the VO there, so I cannot wait to see.
Rooting her on.
Yeah,
no
thanks,
doubt.
Andy. Well, coming up next, last year, more than 2 million Americans fell victim to a financial scam. Ahead, we've got some tips on what you can do to protect yourself.
And after a fast-moving fire ravaged this home, burning up the kids' medication, their parents called Nina Pineda and 7 on your side to try to help get the much-needed prescriptions refilled.
Next live.
Jenna Ortega.
Wednesday.
She's coming Monday.
She is Wednesday.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Plus, on March 13th, it's Live's After Oscar show. Watch live.
Monday morning at 9 on ABC-7.
Well, the Federal Trade Commission is out with new numbers on fraud in America. Almost 2.5 million people filed fraud reports last year, and they lost a lot of money. ABC's Melissa Adon has some tips from the experts about how you can be on the lookout for someone who may be trying to scam you. And there's still much more news ahead. Eyewitness News at 5 begins right now.